Hey, my name is Colby, and this is my social media marketing project called Momentum Mobile Tire Service. So to kind of understand what Momentum Mobile Tire Service is, it's a mobile tire shop is what it is, but to understand its fundamentals and its basics, it's first important to understand the standard way of servicing tires. So when a customer arrives at the dealership for regular maintenance, a technician is typically going to go over the vehicle, look at everything, and when they notice that they need tires because the tires are either bald, have really bad wear on the edges, or just any kind of other unusual wear on them, they're going to alert the service advisor, and then the service advisor will go and alert the customer and typically quote them a good, better, and best option. Typically the good's going to be the cheapest, better's going to be mid-range price, and then the best option for the tires they quote them is going to be typically top of the line. So then the customer places an order for whichever set of tires that they feel comfortable paying for and whichever they feel best fits their needs. And they're also going to schedule an appointment to come back later if the dealership can't get the tires in today, or that day I should say. And then whenever they schedule the appointment, the customer's going to arrive at their dedicated appointment time, back to the dealership, wasting more time. To get their new tires on, and then they're going to end up spending a fortune in money and time. And the biggest thing, because I worked at the dealership for several years, I worked at Capital Ford, and then I worked at Newark before they changed their name. This was years ago. I haven't worked at the dealership in a couple years, but the biggest complaint I see customers complaining about as a service advisor there was either money or they don't have time. So that's kind of what gave me the idea of Momentum Mobile Tire Service. So speaking of money and costs, this is a rundown of the typical costs for servicing tires. Labor rate for the dealership I worked at the time, which was Ford, was $155 per hour. Again, this was several years ago. It may have gone up, it may have gone down, probably up. So tire costs on average for a small passenger car tire is about $150 per tire. That can fluctuate drastically depending on the brand, the ratings, and if you have a big vehicle like a truck, those tires can be very expensive. Or if you have specialty tires that certain BMWs need, like run flats, they can cost between $320 to $400. So, but the overall average cost of a small passenger car tire is $150. Multiply that by that 4, and you're going to get about $600. Then you have to add the labor, which is a standard labor rate of 1 hour to mount and balance 4 tires is $155. So before taxes and shop fees is added, you're looking at about $755. Then after you add the shop fees and taxes, sales tax 7%, shop fees is going to be typically a certain percentage of the bill. You're going to be looking at roughly about $850, give or take some. But the biggest hidden cost for the customer is time. They're spending, they're leaving work, they're taking time out of their day to come to the dealership to get new tires on the vehicle, which they do need, but it's time. But this is where Momentum Mobile Tire Service comes into play. MMMTS for short. It's a simple, cost-effective solution to the traditional brick-and-mortar operations of dealerships for tire repairs. Saves customers not only money, but also saves them time. A customer could be at a party, home, wedding, work, vacation, or somewhere that their spouse doesn't know about. The MMTS will come there and service the tires. So this is a little video I found of a customer's perspective from a mobile tire service shop. And give me a minute, because this is finicky. I have to exit out of this and then go to the video, and then I have to come back into it, because this computer is old, doesn't like to cooperate. So here we go.
And it is grade A service. So the box truck has a large compressor. They have air, they have nitrogen, they have the tire mount in the back, they have the balancer on the side, they have the reels with the air hoses. So they jack up the car, they put the blocks on. I'm telling you, I felt pampered, okay, is the word I want to use. And now I feel spoiled that, I don't have to go spend a couple hours in a tire shop, either a mom and dad, tire shop, which is fine. They're cheap. The mom and dad tire shops are cheap $20, $25. That's what it's locally costing me to mount and balance a tire at the small shops. When you go to the larger shops like Pep Boys and Sears, it's a little bit more. I think $25, $30. It's the going rate. So this is not as cheap as that. So I would say probably like $5 or $10 more per tire, but just simply the convenience of I'm in my house, I do not have to leave, okay, to go anywhere, to sit anywhere, and to wait for anything. So it's to me, there's value there.
That was a quick rundown of how his perspective was on it. He was using mom and pop shops as his example, which mom and pop shops are going to be cheap. But I'm using the dealership as my example just because that's where I was working from, so that's where I'm more familiar with. And also that's where, in the Wilmington area, most people go to dealerships more so because we got plenty of them, that's for sure. All right, price point. So this is where MMMTS is going to surpass the dealership value, not only in the price, because if you look, it says MMTS will beat any dealership tire price by at least $1 per tire. So if a customer brings us a quote for, I don't know, about, let's say, well, let's use the previous example, $150 per tire, MMTS will beat it by at least $1, being $149 per tire. To mount and balance the tires, depending on, the size of the rim, the tire that needs to be put on, or, how far out it is from the area, the location, it'll cost about $20 to $30 per tire installed. So the total cost of the same service of 4 tires at $600 would be $725, and that's including tax. So you're saving $125 about. And there is no shop fees with MMTS because you don't have to pay a lot of overhead. There's not a lot of supplies that you're going to be used. So they're really the only supplies you're going to be using is wheel weights and stuff, which we'll get into a little bit. But most importantly, it saves customers time value, and that's, I think, the biggest thing. As that video I just showed you pointed out, where that guy says it's his time. The time is the biggest value to him, and so I believe that's the biggest value to many other customers, especially. So MMTS startup. So this is just a very, very rough estimate of startup costs. So 2021 Ford Transit cargo van. Again, you can go and get a box truck for about $10,000, give or take. But I was just using this as an example. $36,000 MSRP. Then you have to get the tire changer with the balancer. For a cheap one, a lower end one, looking about $5,500. Air compressor for a low end one is about $1,500. Tire changing supplies, again, like I was saying, that's your wheel weights. You got the wheel weight hammer and pliers. You got the lube. That's going to be about $1,000 for everything said and done on that. Tools. I was a mechanic for several years, so I already own a lot of tools. And so the rough total estimate cost is going to be around $45,000. So the marketing strategy. So before I get into the kind of marketing strategy, I think it's important to say that the competition that MMTS will be focused on is the dealerships, the direct competition with the dealerships. Not really per se, the mom and pop shops, because their price point is actually going to be very on par with MMTS. But again, you still have to go to their dedicated brick and mortar business, and even the mom and pop shops. But really, the whole goal or the whole competition with MMTS would be the dealerships. So the marketing strategy. So kind of what I would envision for MMTS is, especially with social media now, is dedicate a 5 to 10 minute video of the daily rundown of MMTS's operation. So, schedule an appointment let me back up. So the video is kind of like a little daily vlog of the ins and outs of the business, from calling a customer, scheduling an appointment, setting it up, going ordering the tires, going to the customer wherever they may be, servicing the tires, and that would all be in the 5 to 10 minute video, and which you would be posting at the a place like YouTube. So you make accounts on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, Twitter, all the others. So you'd be posting daily, weekly, monthly on the platforms that kind of keep customers updated, engage with more, try to expand the presence on social media to get more people into you. Create ads on Facebook, Craigslist, eBay, etc. Try to get more of your MMTS out there. Make radio announcements, get up to the local radios, news ads, like the local Sunday newspaper. Try to get up right up in there, and obviously that's going to cost some money. And then you're going to want to try to get road signs. That's right, road signs. So you go to your local road sign maker, like I forget the name of the one I like to use a lot, but they go and make signs for you, and you just stick them in the ground at the corner of the road. So the biggest thing is the word of mouth. Once you get out there, once you get a presence out there, people start knowing you by name. They're going to start spreading your word about the business, and I think that's going to be the biggest benefit for MMTS is once they see the professionalism and how much time and money they can save whenever they do business with MMTS. So kind of if it'll load, please. Quick wrap up of everything. So, ever since COVID, there's been a new wave of customer thinking. Customers realized that they had the power to sway businesses from one way or the other. Because without customers, businesses don't exist. And so the customers realize that. And so now, businesses, they're having to adapt to the new wave of customer thinking. More things are online. More services revolve about actually serving the customer. And so now customers, have kind of a power over businesses. And brick and mortar businesses can only adapt so much, especially, dealerships and mom and pop shops. Unless they have, a crazy new innovative way of doing things, they can only adapt so much. And so that's the reason I think mobility is the best solution. It not only brings, cheaper labor rates than, a dealership, but also brings value and satisfaction to customers. Price points beat dealerships and add more value. Startup costs are reasonably priced, and use of social media sites to MMT advantage. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening. I hope I didn't bore you too much.